Hello and welcome to the Jann Arden podcast and show. I am here with Caitlin Green and Sarah Burke. They are in their Toronto homes respectively. I am in Victoria, British Columbia. I got here very late last night. I had a show in Duncan last night and it was fantastic. We are doing Christmas music and it's going over gangbusters. It's a little early in the season, but here I am. That's why I'm on my phone. If this doesn't sound like it normally sounds, our very professional technical prowess, it's because I'm on my iPhone because I'm an idiot. I didn't bring my stuff.
It's fine.
I'm trying to center myself for those of you watching on YouTube. Listen, I put on a little mascara and, of course, my ever so famous Jurassic Park hat, as seen on TikTok. I forgot my hat. Chris went out, bought me this frickin' hat, and he said that's all they had, that and Fortnite. So here I am. Girls, how are you? What's happening? We have so much to talk about today.
I feel like Toronto is still recovering from the Taylor Swift tour.
It's still okay, happening. Tell me everything. I'm going to shut up now. And Taylor Swift, there's celebrities coming from all over the world to see these Toronto shows.
I didn't realize there were so many celebrities here to see her. I saw I mean, I'm going to miss some, but I saw that it was like Keegan-Michael Key was here. Zoe Deschanel, and then
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss was there with
Mariska
Hargitay. However, I always get that wrong.
I always say hard to gay. That's how I remember her name.
So I didn't realize that this was like a hotbed of celeb activity, that they were coming here, but it was really, really sweet to see so many young girls dressed up all sparkly. One of my favorite people in our condo building is this little girl, and she's not that little. She's probably 12 or 13. And she likes to announce whenever I'm with Will that she has finished her babysitting course. Like, she's just like, I'm just putting it out there. I've done my babysitting course. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Well, we will reach out to you when we're looking for a new babysitter. In 4 years, because Will's a lot to handle.
You're gonna have a meticulous resume pile that you'll go through.
But she has a really sweet dog, and so I saw her. I was with Will again, and she said, "Oh, I babysit." And I said, "Yeah, we've talked about this. That's so great." And we'll hit you up one day. And I looked at her again, and I was like, "Are you going to the Taylor Swift concert tonight?" And she was like, "Yes," because she had a sparkly little vest on. She had a red lip. Yes, bold lip friendship bracelets. And I just thought this is really, really sweet to see everyone leaning into their fandom and kind of it can feel dark. And it's also kind of a blah time of year. I feel like a lot of people are blah right now. The clocks changing have helped no one. So it was sweet to see downtown Toronto taken over with sparkles. And I really, really liked it.
Every podcast I listen to, and I listen to so many podcasts, whether they were American or Canadian, everyone was talking Taylor Swift in Toronto.
I know.
A Boston podcast was like, oh yeah, Taylor's in Toronto this weekend. I'm like, why is this on everyone's radar?
Well, I think we really went all out. I think that people here got very excited about this. It's kind of like Canada loses its cool a little bit when we get stuff where we get really excited. So I think that's what happened. And I saw there were the Toronto police have a horse unit, and they had big friendship necklaces around the horses. And it was we went for it. So, and I think she really likes Toronto.
I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys follow Josie Balka? She's kind of poetry on Instagram, and she basically talks into a microphone and records these poems that are quite beautiful. And there was one, she's a radio announcer too, in Alberta.
She's a great voice.
Jan, maybe you know her from, I think she's in Calgary now.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So she recorded this piece. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's basically the beauty of participating as a fan. And it was just so well written. It brought tears to my eyes. Oh my God.
Aww.
Yeah.
Oh, the joy is palpable.
You know what? I'll play a little clip.
Being a fan of something is such a blessing, because being a fan of anything gives your life a lot more purpose than you'll ever know. In a world of so much disagreeing, being a fan lets you be a part of something like-minded. You get to feel together. What a rare thing to feel these days. To be a fan of something is so special because even if it's silly, it's not, because it means something to you. You love something so much that you learn things about it because you want to, not because you have to. To feel that way about anything is to strike gold. If you can be anything in this life, be a fan of something unapologetically. Write the lyrics on your arms, decorate the walls of your home, wear their name on your jersey, stand in crowds, and scream at the top of your lungs like a little kid. And let it keep you that way forever. Let it keep you young. You don't have to understand why. There doesn't need to be any rhyme or reason outside of joy. Just be a fan and let others be fans, and find something that you lose yourself in. Because there's no point to life other than to immerse yourself in all the parts of it that make it worth living. So if you can be anything, be a fan of something.
When we do it.
An interesting thing that Chris brought up to me, and Chris is a super fan. He's seen 6 shows. He's seen them all over the world. He's been to Europe. He's been to the States. He was even trying to figure out how to fly on our one day off from the other end of Canada to Toronto, see the show, get on a red eye, and come back to back.
Oh my
But
God.
it just didn't work out. And the tickets were $6,500, $7,200. But anyway, he saw this little op-ed piece about this couple that obviously got tickets for their 12-year-old. They got 2 tickets. And they said it's much more important for our daughter to go with her friend instead of her mom or her dad to the show. They're 12. She said, I don't think there's any other artist on the planet that her dad and I would have taken them, dropped them off at the door, watched them go in together, stick together. They had their phones. They had them tracking. They had the Apple little things. They had Find My Phone, all the shit that they could have. But they knew that the community, and Caitlin, you kind of alluded to this fandom, this sense of this massive amount of people that have a common kindness and that they're just taking in this positivity. Well, they sent their their daughter and their friend into the concert. And she said, I've actually felt really good that if they got lost, they could go to someone and say, I'm here with my friend. I need this. And I lost my money, or I don't know how to. And those Swifties would have swept in, kept those kids safe, lifted them up over their heads if something weird happened. She knew. And those girls came out exactly at the door they were supposed to come out. They had people helping them to come out. And I thought, you fucking couldn't do that in a Kiss concert. Or, Motley
So
Crue.
many. Yeah.
It just is. And it's all ages. It's grandmas. It's people. I'm so glad you guys got to experience that. Are either of you, did you guys go or what, anything?
No.
No, she's a bit out of my budget for concert tickets. I also think
Yes.
because I'm like an elder millennial, and I don't know, Sarah, if you relate to this, but I feel like I'm like, when I was a girl, we didn't have to pay this for tickets. And so it's like more than $500 for a ticket, which I still think is a lot of money. It's like, it's really
I don't feel
has to
bad
be.
about my 130.
No. And like, even, Caitlin and I, our plans changed, but we were going to go to Casey Musgraves. And I even thought those tickets were
Same.
expensive, right?
Yeah.
How much?
And that was, each of us paid $193.
Yeah.
So that's like too much. I say, unless I am seeing, a reunion concert for a band that's made a big comeback or something. I don't know. It's too much.
You will never pay for me. I will always get you in free.
But well, thank you. We look forward to.
Well, I'm
there's no
glad.
Christmas
They
show
say $500
here.
million has been injected into the
Oh.
Toronto economy, which is completely foreseeable. They say that she's going to be donating like $1 million to some kind of charity or food bank or something in
Aw.
Toronto, as yet to be announced.
Okay.
But she usually does that. And there's a big rumor as we come to the end of the Eros tour. As you all know, she finishes in Vancouver. Which is pretty exciting that she's ending her tour in Canada. But there is a rumor, and this is my Chris, and
He's got
he
the
thinks
inside
that
scoop,
every
though.
person on the crew, and there's something like 200 of them, will be getting a giant chunk of money.
Oh,
Like
That's what you do it
something
here at the
very
podcast too,
substantial,
right?
something a life-changing amount of money.
I could see
Like,
that.
is that $200,000? Is that?
Oh my
But
God.
apparently, just and what you guys can comment on this too. Tell me about the merch lines. I know that they were selling merch prior to the concert. Like, what did that look
That's
like?
new. I don't think
So-
I've ever seen that happen before. Have you, Caitlin?
I haven't, but I mean, to be fair, I don't pay super close attention to like the merch situation for her, but I know it's a big deal. I just had always
Any
assumed,
artist.
yeah, for any artist, but I just had assumed that it was only when you got into the concert. So I didn't realize that there was like these merch pre-sales happening. And so one of my friends who had floor seats to the concert, and she's like a social media influencer, huge Taylor Swift fan. And so she went and waited at 8:30 a.m. in line and she documented her whole like journey. And to your point, Jan, about the Swifties community, everyone's like in line. If one person goes out to get Starbucks and they get it for everyone around them, like it was really sweet. But she left with as much merch as you were allowed to buy for one person. And it is crazy how much money she's making. And because now you're on your Christmas tour, she just announced that she's doing Christmas merch. So this is like
Jesus.
it's a whole thing, and she's got all these special album releases, and like her fans are very, very loyal. They make her a lot of money. They pay a lot of money to see her like perform, and they pay a lot of money to buy the merch while they're there. So if she's given everyone like a $200K per person bonus, I feel like that would still like barely make a dent in how much money this tour has made. And she's on stage for like 4 hours too. That's the crazy thing.
It's the time is right. She's a young woman. She's got all the attributes. There's so many things that have to line up in order for something like this type of phenomenon to take place. So aesthetically, she's very beautiful. No one can fault her for that. She's tall. She's slim. She's got boy troubles. So it resonates from kids from 8 years old to 78 years old of, boy problems and the pining and the yearning and the unrequitedness of love songs and that she's actually lived them. She loves cats. She's very intelligent. She's a wonderful songwriter. Her songs are catchy and without trying to sound trite, when you write these anthemic, catchy songs that have choruses that 80,000 people can sing all at one time, I don't think the stadiums ever shut up. I think from the moment she hits the stage, you see 10-year-old young boys that it's striking a chord in their
The
who they
dads
are.
even.
It just is.
It's a whole new level on the call and
Joy to
return.
watch. It's been a joy to watch.
To Sarah's point about the dads, now they say that in and of itself is its own community. So the Swiftie dads who drop their kids off at the concert, and then they go and find the nearest sports bar and or place they can just go sit and have a beer for a few hours. So they're like, not only is this a huge deal, obviously for the venues and the businesses and the hotels and whatever, but the surrounding places where you would never expect to see impacted by Taylor Swift fans, they are, because it's just the dads who are sitting there waiting to pick up their kids. It's very cute.
If you look at how, in the comments over the years, in her audience, she's had a lot of haters over the years as well.
Yeah.
And to look at how she carried on, regardless of the haters, that's, I think, what really sticks out about this story. Because what would happen if a person like this listened to those voices, right? She's just full confidence and
it's like our friend Jen Butler who's going to be on today. I've stumbled across a really interesting artist, woman creator, writer, comedian. She's going to be joining us on the show today, and she really touches on that exactly about our inner voices, convincing us without a shadow of a doubt that we shouldn't be doing things and shouldn't be trying things. So there's lots of lessons in that today. Okay, moving on. And I'd love to sit here and talk about the wonders of the Taylor Swift
She's got enough attention.
effect on the world.
Oh, but wait, we do have a connection. So we are going to have our own merch coming out very, very soon. I will say, to say nothing of merch, and I love merch, and I love good merch.
Line up now for this merch.
Yeah, line up at the Rogers Center now for the Only Jan's merch. But it looks really cute. I really like it. I'm really, really pumped about this. Yeah.
So basically we have, as promised, an online place you can now buy Only Jan's merch. Now, Only Jan's is a term coined by Caitlin for our Patreon, like diehard loyal podcast fans. You are welcome to be a part of the Only Jan's crew. And we are doing a pre-sale for a limited amount of time. Okay. You're only going to be able to get these 2 items that we have. We hope to expand in the future, but
2
right now it's a t-shirt and we got a tote. Monday next week, the price goes up to regular price. So just to save $5 or a couple bucks on the tote.
I'm going to buy mine today.
Yeah. So we'll have the link in the show notes, but I'll also say it out loud. cutloosemerch.ca/collection/Jann Arden. Okay.
And we'll post it on socials too.
Now, you guys are going to laugh at this a little bit, but on top of this wonderful announcement, at the end of this tour on Patreon, I'm giving away this hat. I'm not keeping this fucking hat.
Do it.
I'm going to sign it.
Okay.
And so if you are a Patreon listener, the girls will figure out who we're going to select, but somebody is going to have a previously loved Jurassic Park hat from Kmart in Campbell River, British Columbia.
They still have Kmarts?
Am I making shit up?
I don't know.
Walmart.
There might be. Okay.
Walmart.
A mart of some kind.
A mart. So Patreon, this little sweetheart could be yours, which is why I'm wearing it today.
Okay, amazing. But yeah, we'll have all the links in the
You
show
laugh,
notes.
but these are legitimately exciting prizes. The resale in this could go up to $12 or $13, Sarah Burt.
You know, for our Patreonies this week, since you announced your album, maybe we'll also give the track list. What do you think?
Absolutely. The
Yes?
track list is out there. I don't know how people do it, but they're sending me, they just find it. So I don't know if it's from Universal, but the track list got out there, but we won't announce it now, but
We can put it in
it's going out
Patreon,
there.
though.
And as you know, the record is called Mixtape.
Yeah.
My friend Leah Gautier, I said to her one day, I said, I don't know what to name this record. And I was fooling around with playlist. And then I had
2000s.
And then I had, exactly. And then I had a really long title that was very esoteric and really stupid. It was like, I bet you thought you knew the words. And Bruce Allen's like, don't be an idiot. It's too long.
That's her manager, by the way, in case you're
Yeah,
like, who's
Bruce is my manager. And
and
so I just was talking to Leah. First thing out of her mouth, mixtape. I literally had angels. And like, that's it. That's what this is. It is a love letter. It is making a cassette of my favorite songs from the 90s and giving them to my boyfriend or my girlfriend or someone that I really
Your
dig.
only Jans.
My only Jans. So thank you, Leah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Mixtape.
We'll also have the link to pre-save her record in the show notes because it's a big week in the Jann Arden camp. We got to support.
Oh my God, it's so great.
I love it.
Caitlin Green, P. Diddy. It just keeps getting fucking
What a
stranger. Here's the other end of the entertainment spectrum, folks.
100%. Yeah, we went real high with Taylor Swift and then real low with Diddy. So this is an ongoing situation, obviously, because he's in jail, but he's constantly trying to get out on bail. And he's constantly trying to have his legal team prove that he can be trusted by setting out these terms. So they're saying, will you guys agree to let him out on bail for $50 million? And he's going to agree to no phone, no internet, no passport, random drug tests, all this stuff. So then the feds shoot back and say, no, because he's in jail and we have evidence that he has been trying from his jail cell to taint the jury pool and blackmail witnesses. He had paid inmates at this jail center that he's at for their private phone code to dial calls outside, to send dozens of texts, hundreds of texts actually, to dozens of accusers and witnesses who are not on his approved contact list. And he's doing this illegally from jail. Like, if this is what this guy can do from inside of a jail, he can't leave.
One
and that's
of the
what they're
people, there was 128 calls from him. I don't know the exact name, but one of the people.
Oh my God.
128 calls. That's not someone innocent. Just saying.
No. That's not how someone, that's not just like I really want to talk to you about how your life is going. It's like this
miss
guy.
My family, miss my friend.
Honestly.
No. Has someone sent him a cake with a file in it yet?
Probably. They're just like, this guy can't be trusted. And again, like, he is behaving, you're right, like a very guilty party. He's not behaving like someone who's done nothing wrong and has nothing to hide.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of giddy about seeing a bad guy get it. And I think because we are living in a world when we are seeing a lot of bad guys rise to the top of the barrel and control a lot of power, it's a very frightening time. So when you actually see someone who is not escaping a just ending, and I think that's why I'm kind of reveling in this. How do you guys feel about that? He's not being pardoned. Yeah. He's not having someone pay him off. It was a misunderstanding. The truck full of lube and eating sushi off of nude girls at parties, it was all in good fun. This isn't happening. This is really serious shit. And he'll probably go to jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I think he'll stay in jail, probably. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be letting him out after this little snafu with calling one person 128 times. That's crazy behavior.
Well, also ballsy to even request a bail hearing for the third time. Like, dude,
I know.
Not going to happen.
I think they really think he's going to get it. He's not going to. So sorry to that man.
I know our guest today is like someone you found with your Instagram algorithm,
yes.
Jan. So on the Diddy topic, there's this guy called Flow Daddy who now has a podcast. I don't know if either of you have heard of him.
I haven't.
But he's been doing like updates like every day or two on the Diddy case. Like, if you really want to get lost in that shit, he has
Flow Daddy.
Yeah, and TMZ gave him a podcast because they were like, "This guy's the guy."
Oh, yeah.
You
Okay,
maybe
he's
have seen
become
this
their
guy.
like reporter. They're like Diddy
Diddy
correspondent.
reporter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, Flo Daddy. I really like the guy's voice. He's a former, like he used to be a musician, and so he understands like the entertainment industry
I
and the
kind of like
crux
that.
of everything.
Well,
Jan, you're on.
I think the ratings are going to be outrageously high for people watching this trial, whether P. Diddy is making an appearance via a video screen or if he's going to be sitting in there. This is going to be a very arduous, very
Yeah.
long
Mhm.
process to untangle the hundreds of people that are involved, who's complicit, it's going to be a fucking mess. So obviously they've got a lot of people working on that. We'll see.
Jan, have you watched the Martha Stewart documentary yet? I need to
I
know
loved
this.
it. You know, I really
Oh
loved
my
it.
God, I've been dying to talk
Okay,
about this
thoughts.
with you guys.
You guys go. I want to hear everything.
If you thought that Martha Stewart was anything before this documentary, you just didn't know who she was. I feel like this opened all the doors to help you understand how fearless in her career she actually has been. You know, a lot of things got caught up when she went to prison without us knowing a lot about that story and how she powered through that phase of her life and how she reinvented herself. Fuck yeah.
I found her iconic before, but now to know really much more about her backstory, I had no idea that she worked in finance in, the 70s when it must have been a complete like nightmare to be the only woman doing that.
Being slapped on the butt as you go by carrying somebody's coffee.
Oh, yeah. And that she
Yeah.
really seems to thrive in almost any setting that she kind of finds herself. She is just very, very tenacious, and she's clearly not worried, I don't think, about how she's like coming across. She's not, sort of like faking nice all the
She
time.
gives no fucks.
None at all. And I think that can be something that a lot of like famous women are maligned for, and people say, oh, she's a bitch, and it can be a reason why people don't like them. But it's not the same way for a guy who was doing that, and you really did see that showcased with the documentary. Also, I had no idea that James Comey like took her down. I was like, as if I couldn't have hated this guy and found him more annoying
He
after the
hates
Hillary
women.
emails. He does.
Yeah,
He hates
he
a
hates
powerful
women.
woman. He
Yeah.
really does. This guy is like, he just came across as really prideful and self-righteous and like out to lunch on a lot of what was going on.
Yeah, like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to jump in and ruin someone's life.
James Comey
Yes.
wrote a book, correct?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
can look it up while you guys chat for a
Okay,
second.
well,
Yeah.
this is a very weird connection.
Oh God. Okay.
This is very strange. So James Comey, tell me what the book was.
This one, okay, so Higher Loyalty, former FBI Director James Comey
What
shares his
year?
never before.
2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So James Comey used one of my quotes
What?
at the very beginning of his book.
No, he did not.
Adrienne Arsenault was texting me. She goes, "Did you know that James Comey used one of your quotes?" And then I hear him talking on CNN. They're talking about this quote.
What is it?
It's if you're not prepared to think about dying, then you're not going to actually be living. It was something like that. And I remember me speaking in terms of my mom and dad because I think about dying a lot. And he used that on the fucking first page. So Adrienne Arsenault is like James Comey quoted you in a book.
This must be Adrienne Arsenault because it's a CBC story.
Okay.
Canadian singer Jann Arden quoted in new James Comey book. And it says, when my parents started getting sick and we were little kids, my mom used to say, well, you're going to die someday, so you better get living. Is that the quote?
Well, the quote says to not think of dying is to not think of living. I think that's the one.
There it is.
That's what he put in there. So my phone was ringing off the hook. Anyway, not to blow my own horn, but when I saw him interviewed on different things, people talked about this quote. And Jann Arden's a Canadian singer, and he goes, "Yeah, one of my kids really loved her and was reading." I don't know what it came about, but it was one of those very weird moments in my life where I thought.
And then you were quoted saying, "I'm very touched. I think it's really cool."
Well, it is cool, but also I don't like if I was a powerful woman like Jan, I wouldn't want to be on James Comey's radar.
But I
'cause
had
I'm like,
no
he's
say.
gonna-
People said, did they have permission? I have no recollection of anyone coming to me from my publishing company or from anything. And it might have just been pulled from an article that they didn't have to clear. It was probably an article. Anyway, fuck
That's
that.
wild.
It's not about that. Martha Stewart. But life is very
funny.
random. But I did love you know what I love? The quintessential moment for me in the documentary, yes, she goes to prison. You know, the long line of black SUVs whisking her off to some kind of minimum security place. Where was she? She was upstate New York somewhere, or New
But she also
Jersey.
got put. Yeah, I think she was in upstate New York, and I was
But she
surprised to learn that she
taught
was.
the women
Yeah,
things in there.
Oh, that
yes,
was so cool.
and they loved
Yeah.
her.
They loved her.
They
They
loved
helped
her.
them find purpose in prison, essentially,
Yeah.
right?
The gardening lady, when she
Yeah.
wore that Afghan that one of the inmates, her fellow inmates, had made for her, she goes,
On
"It's
her
the
way out,
perfect
yeah.
Afghan to wear getting out of prison." And then her dog had a matching one. She had like but she,
Even her attitude against men, it was like, no, I didn't really care to talk about my feelings with him.
I
It
also
was
thought
like,
that it was a bit of a it was a good move to have her not get final say the way many celebrities do over the edit of your documentary, because they included moments that have gone really viral. And I think that if she was the type of person who was particularly concerned with her public image or being well liked or always the most relatable every woman, they would have pulled that out, and instead it was
yeah.
like her talking about making out with some hot Italian guy on her honeymoon.
And I was
And then
like, fuck yeah.
I was like, this,
she goes,
she
you
was
know what?
just,
It wasn't it. I wasn't being unfaithful. I wasn't. It was a moment in museum, and you know what? I loved that because
yeah.
Me
every
too.
moment can't be defined by something so exciting about being human and being in a moment. And if that breaks up a marriage where that's all it was, you kiss in front of a fucking statue of Michelangelo and then you move on.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Me too.
I felt like it really built up her character and it created a
Yeah.
lot of interest in this documentary. So it was really important that they included these things that, again, other people might have said, cut that. I look like such a bitch, but it got left in.
Yeah. It's
And
on Netflix, by the way, if
oh
you
yeah, it's
want to
on
watch
Netflix.
it.
You do have to watch it if you have Netflix. It's very worth checking out. And my God, she is so good at that roast. I mean, the roast of Justin Bieber, who would have
Yeah.
ever imagined that would be her big comeback? Or the moment that she
Yeah.
connected with Snoop, which was then this other very tongue-in-cheek chapter of her career. But
Yeah,
it was,
not?
yeah, like truly, why not? And I love that he said, I saw Martha, and when we talked, I said, I feel like being close to you could really elevate me. Like he paid her quite a bit of respect. He's very, very respectful to her and her talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I applaud what she's done for women, what she's
Mm-hmm.
done to elevate the ordinary housewife, what she has done to make things looking beautiful, something important, something that changes human life, not only for women, but and for men and for, the kids. Even with my own mom having a Grey Cup party, I know this sounds really mundane, but my mom would put her little pineapple apron around her, and I don't know where the apron went to. I'm bringing back the apron. I've got about 40 of my mom's aprons in a drawer. I'm going to start fucking putting those on. And my mom would spend all day making little pinwheel sandwiches and laying out a football style tablecloth. And I don't even like
Yeah.
football, but your dad does, and Rich and Cheryl are coming over, so it'll be nice to have. I just thought I'd try a new recipe, but it all stemmed from Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you, because that was the
Yeah.
70s and the 80s, kind of going into those 90s, and Mom was doing stuff like that. And she would have the Living magazine
Mm-hmm.
open up in the
Yeah.
kitchen and making stuff, that
Starting her own magazine like that at a time like that. Like,
not only that, weddings, babies,
Oh,
the
everything.
series that came out of there, and she was the first female billionaire. When she hit that hammer at the stock exchange, I remember that moment
Mm-hmm.
of her standing there, and they stripped her down for a $48,000 stock trade that there was hundreds, if not thousands of men in trading. They made a fucking spectacle of her.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And shame
they
on
did.
them. Shame on the people that were involved in this. Nothing
James
happened to the
Comey.
guy that told her.
Yeah. It's James Comey, man. Honestly, he
Yeah.
wanted
James Comey,
her.
take my quote out of your book, damn it.
He wanted her, and her friend, who was sort of the guy who she was doing these trades with and everything, he said that it was made fairly clear to him that if he provided them with any sort of evidence that would lead to the takedown of Martha Stewart, that he himself would experience some level of leniency, and he didn't give it to them. But it didn't matter because they were willing to throw her away over 48 grand. You're like, this is nothing to her. This is why would she ever, like, give me a break? And also, every single politician in the US is guilty of some level of insider trading. I'd bet my house on it. Like, I mean, it's this well documented thing, and I was kind of like, I was happy to hear that story because I remember being really young when that was going on, and it was this big joke in late night television, but I didn't realize how much money it cost her, and how that really set her back mentally and emotionally. Yes, it's awful. It's
she
terrible.
lost stewardship of her empire.
Ugh,
Essentially,
I know.
she had to step aside. And to see her now, yeah, she was a little bit crusty. I mean, some of those uncomfortable long pauses. And when you watch the documentary, she's sitting in a chair. The interviewer obviously has been given carte blanche on what he wants to speak to her about. I found it fascinating to see how they did that beautiful job of her handwritten, her cursive that unfolded on the screen. This beautiful AI treatment they did of love letters and of being absolutely devastated and heartbroken at 45 years old.
Even how she
by
was
her.
telling the interviewer, "Don't ask me it like that. Do it like this."
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And then
mean,
they would leave
the
that in.
moments, but the
Yeah.
moments of stillness where
Yeah.
she sat and they left the camera running. They didn't do these long edits. There was like a 1,000, 2,000 where she would look down. She would just refuse to
You
answer it.
really
She goes, "I'm
got
not
to
talking
see it.
about that."
Yeah.
Anyway, one last thing before we head over to Jen Butler. I think you'll find the story really, really beautiful. It's a reincarnation story. It involves a horse that she lost. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but Jen Butler is up next right after this break. So don't go away. It's a very uplifting, very positive story, and you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Jann Arden podcast and show. I'm here with Caitlin and Sarah, and we have a wonderful guest, Jen Butler, and I'm going to have Jen Butler tell us all about what do you do, Jen Butler? Who are you? I found you on the internet.
Okay, so a bit about me. I am a comedian, I'm a storyteller, a screenwriter. I'm a multi-passionate person, right? So I don't want to just do the one thing. I want to do all the things. And I would say about a year ago started what's called the avoidance journey. And this is where a lot of my following has come from, where I realized that complaining about my dreams not coming true apparently doesn't make dreams come true, which is frankly
What?
bullshit. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, listeners. I apologize. I hope it works out differently for you. So I got tired of hearing myself complain because I kept going, I'm doing everything I can. I'm doing everything I can. And I wasn't. When I got honest with myself, I'm like, there's a lot that I'm avoiding. And most of it was about putting myself out there. So I wrote down a list of 30 tasks that I had been avoiding as it related to bringing my dreams to reality, plopped them on a whiteboard, covered them with numbers 1 through 30 at random. And then I beckon my lovely significant other, make him pick a number. If he's not available, I have a sticky hand that I can use to get a number. And then I do that task. I have 22 completed now, and it's been a truly life-changing experience. And guess what? My dreams are coming true. Yay! The end. Podcast
Isn't
done.
that super interesting? Now, would you call it procrastination? Would you call it fear? Would you call it, I mean, obviously there was some kind of avoidance that kept you from starting that list, let's say 4 years ago, 5 years ago. What do you think was the difference this time in actually tackling some of these things? And if you wouldn't mind naming 1 or 2 of them, if it's not too uncomfortable, of what a couple of those tasks were that you undertook.
Sure, and it's not uncomfortable at all.
Okay.
My whole thing online is I share my messy behind the scenes as I'm pursuing my dreams so that other people feel less alone in their messy behind the scenes. Because I think a lot of times we see the highlight reel of like, I made it. And you're like, oh my God, overnight sensation. And that just doesn't really exist, I don't think. So I have always wanted to be a screenwriter. I would watch movies and complain that I could make a better movie. And then finally, during a Tuesday
Get
night
in line,
existential,
Jen Butler.
right? During a typical Tuesday night existential crisis, face first on the living room floor, as I'm telling my partner, like, I could write a better movie. He stopped playing Call of Duty, so sweet, and said, you either need to do something about it or stop complaining about it, because you've been saying this for years and you've yet to write a movie. So that started me on what's called the rejection journey, which is something I did a few years ago because I was so afraid of that someone would not like what I had created. Gasp. Like anything that was less than, Jen, you have changed my fucking life just by existing, and what you made is the best thing I've ever seen. Anything less than that was like an attack on my soul. I felt it so intensely. So in 2022, I did a rejection journey where I sought out 22 rejections. I actively was like, I'm going to seek out these rejections. That's what helped prepare me for this avoidance journey. Because what was wild is by the end of the year, it took me the full year to get the 22 rejections because I had 50 or more successes. Apparently, you have to put yourself out there for people to say yes to you. An example of a task. So one of them was to share an unpopular opinion. And that was a scary one for me because I have grown a following online.
Really?
But then,
Even with the comedic sort of aspect to your life, worrying
well, there's a
about,
difference.
okay.
There's a difference in being like, haha, funny, like, let me say things for shock value versus let me remove this comedic mask, this persona of the entertainer, and let me be real and share something I feel strongly about that you might get mad at me for. Gasp. And that's when I shared the video about my horse, which I think is one of the ones that you saw, Jan.
Yeah, I was really, really touched by this particular story, but I'm not letting you get off without telling me one more uncomfortable avoidance task that you picked off your board and that you undertook.
Okay, well, the most uncomfortable one was publishing my book. So there,
Oh,
yeah,
it's scary. It's really, really
okay,
scary. It's
yeah.
daunting.
And I realized that, I mean, after that I picked that task, because one of them was like, let me look over here.
But
Post
you
a
didn't know what you were
meditation.
picking. You
No.
didn't know you were picking that because they were
Mm,
blind to you, correct?
yep. Yeah, once I covered them with the
It's like
numbers, I
the
was like, I
worst
forgot what I
advent
wrote.
calendar ever.
But what's great about it is whenever my partner would pick a number, I peel back the number and I see what the task is, there's a novelty to it. So rather than it like swimming around in my brain like it had been for years, I got it all out of my brain, put it on this whiteboard. And then when when he would pick it, it was almost like, okay, there's some sort of divine something here, like some sort of synchronicity. This is the one that I'm going to work on now. So with the novelty of it and the newness of it, it feels exciting and like, all right, I can tackle this. But there were some small ones like recording a meditation for Insight Timer and posting it on Insight Timer, which is a free meditation app. Another one was to set up a Patreon because, oh my God, how scary to ask people to give me money. I
We
still am
do it
uncomfortable about
every
that.
day.
You do? That's amazing. I need to learn some skills from you.
It was one of our goals, Jen, this year to when the girls and I got together and just talked about what do we want to do this year? We wanted to do a live event. Scary as hell. Ask these guys. It was just like, and we did something really small, but we pulled it off. Really successful. Patreon was another thing that we wanted to go, and it is. It's like you guys have been listening to this show for 3 4 years, 3.5 years, but today we're asking you to pay $5. But we try and really keep up with bonus material and things like that. But I get the guilt, the shame, that kind of beggar mentality of like that we're asking for money for nothing, and we're creating things week after week after week that we believe is quality. I mean, it costs money to do these podcasts. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's interesting that that Patreon thing would have been on your list too, because it was definitely on our list.
Yeah, I mean, as a content creator, and I imagine you experience similar stuff with the podcast, there are so many roles that we're filling. Like, I'm not just the talent that's filming. I'm also the one filming, and I'm the one editing, and
Yeah.
I'm adding the captions, and then I'm doing the social media. And so I'm not paying people to do all that. I am. And so at some point it's like, can I make a living doing this?
You deserve to be paid.
Right, but it's easy for you to say that to me, and it's easy for me to say that to you, of like, "Jan, you deserve to be paid. You are working so hard, the 3 of you, here's my money." But when it comes to me, I, like, don't know what to do with my hands. So that's why Patreon was on the list, and it was scary. And then the scariest one was my book. So it's called Volume Control, a guidebook for highly sensitive people in a loud and spiky world. Because I've always had the volume turned up on life ever since I was a kid. Existence is a lot. It's just a lot.
It's hard being a
And
person.
man, it really is.
Yeah, it's hard putting words onto a page and sending them out into the world because, like any art, you're opening up yourself to criticism and vitriol and naysayers and people like, what gives you a right to say that? You're not an expert at this, or I mean, it's difficult. But then the same people that are making those kinds of comments, Jen, are the ones that have secretly been working on a book for 5 years and they'll just never get it done. So it's much easier to be a critic than it is an actual author. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Caitlin, questions? I'm dying to know what your thoughts on making these lists are.
Well, it's sort of to your point about like being the critic. And so you said you had the rejection journey, but you also pointed out that you would watch movies and feel critical of them, like, oh, I could do a better movie. Do you feel sometimes like having a critical inner voice can hold you back in life? Because if you're like the kind of person who watches stuff and you're like, you see the ways that it could be improved, that can then be something you apply to yourself in your own journey as well.
I think that character attributes can go rogue if they don't have a healthy expression.
Mm-hmm.
So an example of that with that hypercritical part of my personality, for my big kid job, I'm a technical writer at a software development company. It's literally my job to nitpick people and correct them. It's a fucking joy. Not as great in my personal life, but by finding a healthy expression for that outward, it helps me not be as critical internally.
Hmm.
But that is certainly something that I struggle with, which is likely why sharing so consistently has allowing myself to take up space has been so scary, because I do have that inner voice. Like
Mm-hmm.
my book made it on the Barnes and Noble bestseller list, and I was pumped. And then my brain went, it's not going to be on there for very long though. And I'm like, but it is now. Can we enjoy this now? And it's like, let's just go ahead and grieve the moment that it will inevitably fall
See,
off this
yeah,
list.
yeah. So like that's hard because that can be a demotivator, but at the same time, like you said, if you point it in the right direction and it doesn't get too loud, it can ensure that the work you're doing is good and it's very intentional. But it's just like that balancing act of I don't need to criticize myself into not doing anything. I don't need to be paralyzed by it, but at the same time, it's still there.
Yeah. What's helped me is sharing about it too.
Mm.
Because I share about it in videos, and especially when I was working on this book, because I had so much resistance around this book. There were so many times where I'm like, it's garbage, and I should trash it, and I should never share anything ever again. I should quit everything. I should just cancel everything. And then I would share about it, and people were like, oh my God, I feel that same way. So I think there's a point in connecting those aspects of ourselves so we feel less alone, and that helps that part of my voice get quieter too. Because I think it comes from fear and just wanting to protect me.
Yeah.
And it helps a lot of people, to those shared experiences when you think you're so alone. That listen, I want you to walk us through the story that I saw. Thank God for the algorithm. Jen Butler, I don't know how you landed on me, but it was something that I needed to hear that day. So it's a beautiful story, and I just want your take on it. It has to do with losing a beloved animal and opening yourself up to the magic of the possibility of reincarnation. That's all I'm going to say. I want your take on it because this was a wild story, and I think a lot of people hope for a story like this. So take it away.
A little bit of background. When I was 2 years old, I saw a horse for the first time. His name was Coke. He's just raggedy old bay horse in California. And I immediately fell in love with horses. And I entered that little kid phase of, I want a pony. But I did it very differently. I was like, I want a pony. And mommy and daddy said, ponies are expensive. And I said, how expensive? And they gave me, like, I don't know, a few $1,000s. So I decided I'm going to save up every penny. I'm talking at two, I started this. And by the time I was 11, I'd saved up $4,000, which I have a 12 and a 10-year-old bonus daughter now. And I'm like, wow. I look back, I'm like, good job, Bastion. Because it's just a very different vibe. So I got my dream horse at 11. His name was Chance. And it was one of those synchronistic things to find him and for him to find me. When looking for a horse, I swore my one thing was, I do not want a white horse or a gray horse. They're a pain in the ass to clean. The morning of horse shows at 4 a.m., inevitably, they're going to roll in their horse shit. Like, they're going to roll in their poop. They're going to find something. They're going to get dirty. So while all those people are out there with their chestnuts and their bays, like rolling out of bed at 7 a.m., I'm out there at 4:30 in the freezing ass cold. 4:30. I'm out there at 4:30 in the morning, freezing cold, like hosing him down and wiping the shit off his hind end. So I was like, no white horse. Naturally, I fell in love with a white horse named Chance. So got him, and he helped me through some of the hardest years of my life. I mean, teenage years suck. 20s suck.
Horses are very therapeutic. They're known for that. They're very
Yeah.
intuitive, and they're very, very locked into what you feel and how you feel.
Very much so.
Well, I'm glad you had a friend through all of that. It's teenagers shit stuff is horrible.
Yes. And he was able, you could walk him around without a lead line, and he would follow me. We would play tag out in the pasture where I'd run after him and tap him on the butt, and I'd turn the other way, and he would trot after me. He loved apples, he loved carrots, and he just had this wonderful grounding personality. And through some of the hardest years of my life, I got malignant melanoma and survived that. I started to deal with alcoholism, and when I was 25, we noticed that Chance had a bump in his mouth, and it ended up being cancer that had infiltrated his jawbone. And this was at a not great time in my life, but there's never a good time to lose a pet. And we had to say goodbye to him. It was the kindest thing to do.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we could remove part of his jawbone and like give him a bionic face. And I'm like, nah, no, we're good. So I donated his body to the education program at Auburn University because I figured maybe he can help save a little girl's pony one day. And I found out a week later, after they did the autopsy and everything, that the cancer had actually spread down into his lungs and in his throat and into his tummy.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere. And so it was good that we let him go when we did, because they said within a week it would have been a not great passing, so he was able to leave in a peaceful way. So obviously that was one of the most intense feelings of grief I've ever experienced, because this is my best friend from when I was 11 all the way through all these hard years, And I ended up falling deeper into alcoholism, but found my way to sobriety. And when I first got sober, it was probably, 6 months into sobriety, I had a dream. And in my dream, Chance came to me and he said, I'm back. He was like, I've reincarnated. And at this point, keep in mind, like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in magic or anything, right? I'm newly sober. Life sucks. I had just, I was dealing with breast implant illness without knowing it. So I was in pain and I was just cranky. And so it was
Jen
very
Butler,
weird.
you got some shit going on, girl.
I did. I just knocked it all out, I was just like, let me be miserable and sick for a handful of years and then figure out how to love myself and make my way out of it.
So Chance
and
is
now
like,
I can share
I'm
about
back.
it.
I'm back.
Right.
I'm here. Now what?
He says, I've reincarnated as an 8-week-old puppy, a male puppy, and I'm orange. And one thing I will say about Chance that I didn't mention before, it's he always rolled in red Georgia clay, live in Georgia. And so he would always look chestnut. Of course, like right before a show, it would happen, but just always, he was very rarely white. So of course, he comes to me in my dreams and he says, I've reincarnated as an 8-week-old chestnut puppy. I'm an orange puppy. And I'm at PetSmart. And I wake up and I tell my boyfriend at that time, I was like, oh, listen to this crazy shit. Like, my brain's just slowly coming back online from all the alcohol and drug abuse. And he's like, well, we got it.
I'm at PetSmart. I mean, nothing like being specific. The PetSmart, this is where I started laughing out loud in my house because you're like, what fucking PetSmart? Like, how many fucking PetSmarts are there in the world?
Yeah. Which one? Can you narrow it down? Give me GPS location. So I tell, my then boyfriend, he's like, well, we got to go. Like, we have to go
I
to
love
PetSmart.
him.
He's a great guy, not a great boyfriend, but he was a sweetie. He was a poet with a man bun. Beautiful, beautiful. Cried a lot, though. Cried a lot. I'm glad he had that big open heart and pushed me to go. As I'm driving, though, I check in with Chance. I'm like, dear, to whom it may concern, like, if life really is this magical, and I'm talking to you, I'm gonna need you to knock some money off of this adoption fee for this puppy, because I was living in a 575 square foot apartment. I had no business. I'm newly sober. I don't need to get a puppy. What the hell am I doing here? And I hear or feel back that he's going to be the last one. He tells me he's going to be the last puppy. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go to PetSmart, the closest one. I went. I'm still totally skeptical at this point. I'm like, I'm a crazy person. So we show up to PetSmart. All these crates and everything are set up, and all of them are empty except for one. In that one, there's an 8-week-old male orange puppy and a black puppy. So I was like, oh, not the last one. So he's not the last one, so it's not true. And this couple comes up, picks up the black puppy, looks at me and says, that one's yours, pointing at the orange one. I still would not pick up the puppy, though, because I'm like, I know once I smell that puppy breath, it's over. Doesn't matter if it's Chance or not. If I smell the puppy breath, we're done. So this little boy and his dad come up and pet the orange puppy. I'm already feeling a little jealous. I'm like, don't touch him. I haven't even touched the puppy, but I'm like, that's my puppy. The little boy pets the puppy. Daddy keeps going. And then dad says over his shoulder, Chance, let's go. Little kid's name is Chance.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So at that point, I'm like looking at this cute little wrinkly face, orange puppy. Everything from the dream came true.
Like, how many prompts did you need? Like, how many?
A lot. Clearly a lot. The universe is like, oh my God, get a point.
This is the dumbest person we've ever dealt with cosmically.
She's so fucking stubborn. So I'm holding this precious puppy, and the woman that runs the adoption agency came up to me, and she was like, listen, we had 23 dogs here. He's the last one. I'm packing up. Here's my card. I got to pack him up too. I look at her card. Her name's Jennifer. My name's Jennifer. So again, the universe is like tapping me like, come on. And she's like, I really got to pack everything up. If you want to take him now, I'll knock $50 off. And I said, here's my credit card. Like at that point, I'm like, okay, everything came true. Here's my credit card. And I took a puppy home. His name is Floyd. He actually just turned 10. And what's wild is he is able to be off leash as well. We play tag as well, where I run, I tap him on the butt, and
so you named this puppy Floyd, or did he have the name Floyd?
I named him Floyd, and he would wear a pink collar, like Pink Floyd. Yeah. We thought about it, like, do we name him Chance again? But I realized it's like, if this whole reincarnation thing is real, we're not going to have the same name every single time. We get a new bod, a new meat
I've
suit.
chosen the same name century after century. Jann Arden. Jann Arden. Jann.
Jann. There you go. Perfect. So also, when I first got Floyd and brought him home, he had kennel cough and he had worms. And I had later learned that with reincarnation, that a lot of times what we died of or whatever in a past life will bring into the next life and process through it. So it will kind of be a whisper or an echo or a ripple of what it was.
That doesn't surprise me. This shit doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So you got this dog. You must be feeling weird. And you start seeing similarities with Chance and with Floyd. One of them being the kennel cough, so that obviously the cancer in the lungs, the worms, whatever the hell that means.
Well, he had cancer in his stomach too.
Are you feeling like, is that you, Chance? Like, were you looking for signs? Were you like?
I knew it was him by that point. You could look in his eyes and I could feel him. The void that I felt from not having Chance was filled. And I don't think it would ever be 100% filled because Chance was 1,500 pounds and Floyd is 60 pounds, right? So it just, he took up a big part of my life and a big part of my heart. But I mean, there are times that even my mom will call Floyd Chance, which is the weirdest thing. It's just like our soul knows on some level. And
You
I can
also
look inside
spoke
his eyes
to
and
some markings on the dog's face, and the apple carrot thing was interesting to me as well with a dog.
yeah, he loves apples and he loves carrots. And another thing is Chance had this really cool squiggly scar on his back right hock. That's his back right leg. And we never knew where it came from, but on his papers it says squiggly scar, back right hock. And when Floyd was 2, he had to have surgery on his back right leg, and he now has a squiggly scar on his back right leg. So, I mean, at this point, I'm like, all right, life's magical. I
So
can't explain this.
how, I mean, obviously you've had the dog many, many years. And when you told the story, when you posted this on Instagram, what was some of the reactions that you got from this? Were there disbelievers? Were there people like, you're crazy as a shithouse door? Or were there people like, yes, that's happened to me and I've had this experience? Um, I find it really whimsical and magical, and I'm glad that you shared it because I'm always looking for things like that. Like, I don't think I want my mother to come back as a deer in my yard, although that would be kind of really freaking cool. Um, but when my mom did pass away, the thing I said to her on her deathbed, I said, "Mom, please bring lots of animals to the yard." I was distraught and bereft, and I'm having this conversation with my pretty much unconscious mother riddled with Alzheimer's. Jen Butler, within days of her passing, I had deer coming through my yard. They have not stopped. Bears, deers, moose, porcupines. I have 3 skunks living under my deck. It is a nonstop. It's a zoo coming through my place. So I want to attribute it to that, but I also know that when my parents passed away, their 2 dogs had also passed away. They're big farm dogs that ran the perimeter all the time. And my friends are like, well, you don't have the big dogs anymore. So obviously the animals can come. And I'm like, don't fucking take my joy. That's what I want to believe. But people will find it's exactly what you said about your book being on the bestseller list. Human beings are geared and we're much, much better at, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, accepting shitty news. We accept it gladly. Oh, well, of course that didn't happen. Good news, the skepticism runs high. Like we just cannot. Our humanness doesn't allow us to really accept that joy. But I really felt that sense of elation coming through in your story. And sorry, back to I completely went off on my own tangent. But the comments you got, were they mostly positive? I read some
Yes.
of them because I was
Yeah.
curious to know what people said.
Most people were in tears and were like, I
Good.
needed to hear this. Everyone has a soulmate animal and everyone mentioned it, you know. They're like, oh, my sweet Romeo, I hope he comes back. And oh, I just lost my cat. And I really needed to hear this. And I hope this is true. Some people shared their own stories that were similar experiences. I did not see any naysayers, but I also, when a video goes viral, I stop reading the comments at some point because it's like the video will make it to my following, they share it with their people, they share it with their people, and eventually it's going to make it outside of the bubble of safe space. It's going to eventually the video is going to topple over into haters, but I have yet to see any on that
Yeah, I
specific
think when
video.
it comes to animals, people seem to have more of an open-hearted spirit to that. I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing this with us and sharing your book and all your accomplishments. And we're going to make sure that there's show notes so that everyone can find you, Jen Butler, in the United
Thank you.
States of America. And congratulations on your sobriety. I'm 10 years.
Me too.
And
High
I'm
five.
telling you,
Yes.
And just as a sidebar from me personally to you, this whole chance thing, I about 3 years ago, just after COVID, I had a phone call from a guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he still had my phone number from working on my home. I built a house out in the country, and these texts start coming in like at midnight. It was a winter night, cold winter night, and he said, "Hey Jan, I got still have your phone number. I did some of the brickwork on the blah 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 of your house. I'm at the end of my road. I've been living in my car with my dog. His dog's name is Chance, and he goes, I'm at the end of your road. I'm just gonna tie Chance onto like your mailbox here, 'cause this is the end of the road for me, buddy. And you've been a real nice lady. You've been a real nice lady to me. You're always nice when I was there. Like, I thought you'd be snobby, being all famous and everything, and you're a really nice lady." And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, what is happening? Like, do I need to drive down my road and get this dog? He says, you can't have a dog. I don't care about my life, but I care about Chance. And so I phoned immediately, and he picked up. Hello. I said, it's me. Listen, I'm going to wire you money right now. Go get a hotel room. Get your dog a big bag of dog food. Anyway, fast forward, he surrendered the dog to me. He's doing really great. He lives in a house. He got his daughter back. He
Oh,
stayed the night in the hotel room. And I'm like, I phoned the police. And I said, this is what I'm doing. Because I said, you need to have someone check on you. And I said, I will figure out a place to put your dog, Chance. So when I read this whole thing about Chance, I'm like, oh my God, there's just so many. Chance lives in British Columbia. Chance has the life of the most amazing dog life ever. And my pal, we still keep in touch, and he's doing great. But it's those moments where you don't know somebody, but you do it anyway. And that's what I like in those video stories, those stories of being vulnerable, you putting yourself out there about alcoholism, about, the cancer that you endured, the grief, the stuff that you've gone through. And I appreciate you being vulnerable. And we love stories like that on our show. We have a lot of listeners that are they just derive a lot of pleasure and security and calmness from real stories, from real people that go through this stuff. And yeah, you come out. And you don't always believe in the good things, but they're as tangible as the bad things. Things can go as good as quickly as they go bad. People always forget that. Everything's gone to shit. Well, that's how fast things can get better.
it's funny too when something bad happens and people tend to go, oh, here I am again, with not a lot of money in my bank account. What I like to say is, but what about when you have a lot of money in your bank account? Do you go, well, here I am again. Here I am again. Good again. No, it's like we hyper focus on those negative times. And I'm really grateful that you all invited me on this podcast as well. And I have learned through my content creation, through sobriety, that there are synchronicities all over the place. There's something going on. And I've tried to understand it. I've tried to analyze it. I've like written it down and kept track of like trying to apply linear reasoning to it. And it's just, man, no, there's something, whether we say bigger or more magical, that's happening. And even the hard, challenging things, even the cancer, the breast implant illness, even losing Chance, my best friend, has all later in life, it's like that pain became something really beautiful later and is how I connect with people now. So I think that even when we're in a really hard time, it's like, just stay put. Don't fucking give up. Just for today, stay put. Or just for today, don't drink. Or just for today, don't kill yourself. Just for today, whatever it is that you need to get through that day, because you have no idea who you might connect with that next day.
Exactly.
You have no idea what tomorrow might bring.
My dad used to say, don't just do something, sit there. And you're like, isn't it the other way around?
Oh, okay.
And-
That's a really wild part of the avoidance journey. So I'm a doer now, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to make my dreams happen. And there are times that I get so just like wound up and I'm like, why isn't anything happening? And my partner's like, why don't you just sit down and like play a video game. Sit down, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll go and I'll watch a TV show. I'm like, this is stupid. Nothing's going to happen. And then, of course, as I'm relaxed, all sorts of cool stuff starts happening.
Yeah. Don't just do
Surrender and
something.
all
Sit
that.
there. Let's get T-shirts made. Jen Butler,
Do
thank
it
you so much.
immediately.
We're gonna have show notes. We're gonna direct people towards your book, towards your social media handles. But you've been really generous, and I'm so glad that you responded to me, because I just thought, if you don't ask, you're not gonna find out. But I was very touched by your story, and I've shared it with so many people. Have you seen that video about the woman that lost her horse, and he took her to PetSmart? Fuck, I laughed out loud at that. But it's so many things. And when the dad called out his little boy's name and it was Chance, like, the universe tries so hard to connect with us. And if you're not listening, every day I wonder, oh my God, what am I letting go by me?
What are we missing?
Like, what are we missing? Anyway, thanks so much for being here. We're gonna circle back to. I hate saying circle back, but I'm gonna say it.
You did it. You went there.
Let's touch base in a few months and just see how things are going with you, and if you've written that fucking screenplay. So, or the movie.
I've written 3 now. I've written 3. And I'm writing one about the story of Chance. It's called Second Chance. So.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Okay. Well, congratulations on everything, and thanks
you.
for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. What a blast.
Stick around, all you Patreon folks, because we're going to talk about a zany AI story. You're hearing all kinds of stuff going on. This is quite chilling, and Caitlin is going to tell us all about that, so you don't want to miss it. And we're also going to talk about the Oxford Dictionary's Word of the Year. It's something they do all the time this time of year. I hate most of these words, but there's a few good zingers in there. I have my favorites. We're going to talk about that as well. Don't forget to pre-order your T-shirt, because we've got some Only Jan's T-shirts and tote bags, and you can find those on the JannArdenPod.com. You can find links in our show notes to go find those T-shirts. We love them. We think they're fabulous. And don't forget,
get them before Jan buys them all.
and don't forget Patreon. You can win this Jurassic Park hat.
So join us on Patreon.
Don't forget to come and say hi to us there. We got lots more to talk about. You're fantastic as always. Go hear us on your favorite streaming platforms. Give us a review. 5 stars helps other people find us, and talk your friends into signing up. Tell them you don't need tampons this month. You need, and that's only going to get you 1 tampon anyway, to come see us. Or fellas, if it's you don't need those condoms. You don't need a box of condoms. Just pull out, for the love of God. Okay, that's our show for today.
We need a medical disclaimer now.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even mean that. Don't go buy your frickin' condoms. We'll see you next time. Jann Arden Podcast and Show. Caitlin and Sarah. Toodly-doo.